Elara's heart stopped. She stepped backward. The floor creaked. Silence. The office door opened. Lucian stood there. They stared at each other. "What are you doing awake?" I heard voices. His eyes narrowed. "How much did you hear?" "Enough." She swallowed. "Who is Damien Voss?" Lucian said nothing. "Why does he want me?" "He doesn't." "Then why did your man say he's coming after me?" Lucian closed the door behind him. "Because you're close to me." Elara stared at him. "Why?" Lucian looked away. "Because I made a mistake." "What mistake?" "Letting myself care about someone." She didn't know what to say. Then she noticed something. Blood on his sleeve. Again. "You're hurt." "I'm fine." "You always say that." She stepped closer. "One day you're going to stop being fine." Lucian looked into her eyes. "That's what I'm afraid of." The next morning, Elara discovered something even more disturbing. A file had accidentally been left on her desk. The name on it was Noah Bennett, her brother. Elara's hands began shaking. Noah had disappeared 6 months earlier. She had searched everywhere for him. Police, hospitals, friends, old co-workers. Nobody knew where he was. She opened the file. Inside were photographs of Noah meeting men connected to Damien Voss. There were bank transfers, encrypted messages, and one photograph of Noah standing beside Lucian. Elara rushed into Lucian's office. "You knew my brother." Lucian looked at the file. His expression became unreadable. "Yes." "When?" "Before you started working for me." "You knew where he was?" "No." "You're lying." "I'm not." "Then tell me everything." Lucian stood. "Noah contacted me because he had discovered something." "What?" "A list." "What list?" "The names of powerful people secretly working with Voss." Elara's voice trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because your brother disappeared before he could give me the evidence." "Did you hire me because of him?" Lucian hesitated. That hesitation was enough. Elara's eyes filled with hurt. "That's why." "At first." She looked at him. "And now?" Lucian stepped closer. "Now you're the person I care most about." Elara looked away. "You don't get to decide what's best for me." "I know." "Then stop protecting me by lying." Lucian lowered his voice. "Then promise me something." "What?" "If you ever discover something that puts you in danger, you come to me." She nodded. "I promise." But the promise would be tested sooner than either of them expected, because the real danger wasn't outside the mansion. It was already inside. Someone had access to everything. Lucian's schedules, his security plans, his movements, his private conversations. And the person responsible for the assassination had never been Damien Voss. It was someone Lucian trusted, his oldest friend, Matteo Rourke. But Matteo wasn't working for Voss. He was working for himself. He believed Elara was destroying Lucian's judgment. He had watched Lucian change since she arrived. The ruthless Mafia boss who once ordered executions without hesitation had started sparing enemies. He had started sleeping less. He personally checked Elara's security. He smiled more. Matteo believed she was making Lucian weak. So he arranged the assassination to frighten Lucian into sending Elara away. But everything went wrong. The assassin had been instructed to miss Lucian's heart. Instead, Elara had nearly taken the bullet herself. Matteo realized too late that he had created exactly what he feared. Lucian now had someone he would destroy the world to protect. When Lucian discovered Matteo's involvement, he didn't immediately punish him. He simply stood across the room and stared at his oldest friend. "You used my name." Matteo said nothing. "You put her in danger." "I was protecting you." "You were protecting the man I used to be." Matteo stepped forward. "You don't understand what she is doing to you." Lucian's voice became quiet. "No." He looked toward Elara. "She reminded me who I was before this life destroyed me." Matteo shook his head. "You're a mafia boss, Lucian. You can't pretend to be something else." Lucian stared at him. "Maybe I can." Before Matteo could answer, the mansion's alarm suddenly sounded. Serena Cross ran into the room. "Boss!" Lucian turned. "What?" "Elara is gone." Everything inside him stopped. Her phone was on the floor. A broken window stood open. One of the guards was unconscious. Lucian's face became completely emotionless. Lock the mansion down. Every guard moved. Double the perimeter. Yes, boss. No one enters. Yes, boss. No one leaves. The mansion transformed into a fortress. Lucian walked into Elara's room. Her handbag was still there. Her shoes were still beside the bed. Her favorite book was open on the table. She hadn't left willingly. On the broken window was a message. Come alone if you want her alive. Lucian stared at it. Mateo stood behind him. I'll send the men. No. Lucian. I said no. You can't go alone. Lucian turned. His eyes were ice. They took the only person I have left. Mateo understood. Lucian wasn't going as a mafia boss. He was going as a man who had finally found something he couldn't bear to lose. Elara woke inside an abandoned theater. Her wrists were tied. The room smelled of dust and old wood. A single spotlight illuminated a chair. Damien Voss sat across from her. He looked nothing like the monster she had imagined. He wore an expensive gray suit. His hair was perfectly styled. His smile was calm. That made him more frightening. You know why you're here? Elara said nothing. Lucian has destroyed half the city looking for you. She stared at him. You seem proud of that. I'm fascinated. By what? How quickly a man like Lucian can become irrational. Damien placed a photograph on the table. IT showed Lucian standing over a dead enemy. That's the man you're protecting. Elara stared at the photograph. I know what he is. Damien leaned closer. Do you? I know he lied to me. He's killed people. I know. He's destroyed families. Elara remained silent. He's built an empire on fear. She finally looked at Damien. And you're different? His smile disappeared. At least I don't pretend to be a good man. Elara smiled faintly. Neither does Lucian. That answer seemed to irritate him. Damien stood. You really believe you can change him? No. Then what do you believe? Elara looked directly into his eyes. I believe he changed himself. Damien laughed. You've only known him for a few months. And you? 20 years. Then you should know him better than I do. Damien's expression darkened. You don't understand who you're dealing with. Elara smiled. Neither do you. Damien turned away. He didn't realize Elara had already noticed something. The phone on the table. The security badge hanging from one guard's belt. The old theater's emergency exit. She began calculating. She wasn't trained to fight. She was an assassin. She wasn't a criminal. But she was observant. And she had spent years working in a law firm. She knew how people behaved when they believed they had complete control. Damien was careless. He thought she was helpless. That was his mistake. Meanwhile, Lucian entered the theater alone. Damien expected dozens of armed men. Instead, Lucian walked through the doors without a weapon in his hands. You asked for me. Damien smiled. You actually came. Release her. You're in no position to make demands. Lucian looked around. I came here because you have something I want. Damien laughed. You mean the woman? Lucian's expression hardened. Her name is Elara. Damien suddenly realized something. Lucian wasn't treating her like an employee. He was treating her like family. That was his mistake, and his greatest weakness. Damien raised his hand. The lights went out. Gunshots echoed through the theater. But Lucian had anticipated the trap. His people entered through the back entrance at exactly the same moment. The theater erupted into chaos. Elara managed to free one hand and grabbed a fallen phone. She called Serena. I know where the evidence is. Serena's voice came through the phone. What evidence? The ledger Noah stole. Serena froze. Where? Damien has it. Elara looked toward the table. A black case sat beside Damien's chair. He doesn't know I already memorized the access code. Serena immediately understood. Elara, can you get it? I think so. She crawled toward the case while the room filled with shouting. Damien saw her. Stop. Elara grabbed the case and ran. Lucian saw her. Elara. She threw herself toward him. He caught her. For 1 second, the entire world disappeared. Are you hurt? No. Are you sure? Yes. Lucian pulled her closer. I thought I lost you. She whispered. You didn't. Behind them, Damien tried to escape. Elara turned. Lucian. He looked at her. She pointed toward Damien. He's running. Lucian's men blocked every exit. Damien was captured, but the real victory came later. The ledger was decrypted. Its contents exposed Damien's entire network. Secret bank accounts, corrupt officials, hidden properties, illegal shipments, bribes, and names of people inside law enforcement. Within hours, Damien's empire began collapsing. But one name was missing. Noah Bennett. Elara noticed immediately. She looked at the list again. Where's my brother? Lucian didn't answer. Then her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She opened the message. You saved the wrong man. Her heart stopped. Another message followed. Lucian isn't the person your brother was afraid of. A photograph appeared. Noah, alive, standing beside a woman Elara had never seen before. Elara's hands trembled. She looked at Lucian. He took the phone. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then his expression changed. Where did you get this? I don't know. Lucian zoomed in on the photograph. Behind Noah was a familiar symbol. A black serpent wrapped around a crown. Lucian's face became pale. Elara noticed. What is it? Lucian looked at her. An organization older than mine. Who are they? He didn't answer immediately. Then he said quietly, the people who trained me. Elara stared at him. Trained you to do what? Lucian looked toward the city. To become the Mafia Boss everyone fears. Elara's eyes widened. And they still exist? Lucian nodded. They've been watching me for years. Why? Because I left them. Why would they want Noah? Lucian looked at the photograph again. Because your brother discovered something about them. What? Lucian's voice became darker. The Veil Syndicate wasn't the beginning. Elara waited. My family worked for them before I took control. She stared at him. Your family? My father? Lucian's eyes became distant. He was one of their most valuable men. And you? I was supposed to replace him. But you didn't. No. He looked at Elara. I destroyed his organization from the inside. Elara understood. That's why they want you. Lucian nodded. And that's why they took Noah. Suddenly the photograph changed. A live video began playing. Noah was sitting in a dark room. His face was bruised, but he was alive. A distorted voice spoke from behind the camera. Lucian. Lucian's eyes narrowed. You have something we want. Noah looked toward the camera. Don't give them anything. The video ended. Elara's voice trembled. We have to find him. We will. You promise? Lucian looked at her. I promise. She stepped closer. And what happens if saving him destroys everything you've built? Lucian didn't hesitate. I'll destroy it myself. Elara took his hand. You don't have to do this alone. He looked down at their hands. Then at her. For the first time in my life. He paused. I don't want to. Far across the city, Noah Bennett watched them through a hidden camera. He smiled. Then he turned toward the woman standing beside him. She was elegant, calm, and terrifying. Her name was Evelyn Vare, the woman who had trained Lucian's father, the woman who had secretly controlled the city's criminal empire for decades. She looked at Noah. He found her. Noah nodded. Evelyn smiled. Good. She looked at the screen. Now we know exactly how to destroy Lucian Vale. Noah's expression changed. You're not going to hurt Elara. Evelyn looked at him. Why? Noah didn't answer. Evelyn smiled. Because you care about your sister. Noah's silence was enough. Evelyn turned back toward the screen. Then Lucian has two weaknesses. She touched Elara's image. Her. Then she touched Noah's. And you. The screen went black. At the same moment, Lucian stood beside Elara on the balcony of his mansion. The city glittered below them. For the first time, he wasn't looking at it as the king of the underworld. He was looking at it as a man who had finally found something worth protecting. Elara leaned against the railing. Do you regret hiring me? Lucian smiled. Every day. She laughed. That's rude. You ruined my schedule. I made you attend meetings. You made me drink coffee without sugar because you were drinking too much. You argue with me. You deserve it. You walked into my office without knocking. You hired me. I did. He looked at her, and that was the biggest mistake of my life. Her smile faded. Because of everything that happened? Lucian shook his head. Because I should have realized sooner that you were going to become important to me. Elara looked at him. You saved my life too. No. He took her hand. You saved mine first. She smiled. But you're still a mafia boss. Lucian looked toward the city. Not for much longer. She turned toward him. What are you going to do? End it. Your entire empire? Yes. Why? Lucian looked at her. Because I spent half my life becoming someone everyone feared. He gently squeezed her hand. Now I want to become someone you don't have to fear. Elara's eyes softened. You were never the person I feared. Lucian stared at her. What did you fear? Losing you. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lucian pulled her closer. But neither of them noticed a small red light blinking on a building across the street. Someone was watching. Someone who knew everything. Someone who had been waiting years for Lucian to finally fall in love. And the next morning, Elara would receive a photograph that would change everything. It would show Noah Bennett standing beside Lucian's father. The photograph would be dated 20 years earlier, and written on the back would be a single sentence. Your brother was never working for Damien Voss. Below it was another line. He was working for Lucian. Elara would stare at the photograph in disbelief. Lucian would read it, and for the first time since she had met him, she would see genuine fear in his eyes. Because Lucian knew the truth. Noah hadn't disappeared 6 months ago. He had been undercover for years. And if the photograph was real, then Noah had been protecting Lucian from the shadows. Not betraying him. Not working against him. Protecting him. Which meant the real enemy wasn't Damien Voss. It wasn't Mateo. It wasn't even the mysterious organization. The real enemy had been inside Lucian's family from the beginning. And Noah had discovered the truth before anyone else. The final message arrived before Elara could ask another question. Lucian knows too much. Lucian looked at Elara. His expression became cold. Pack a bag. Why? Because we're leaving. Where? Somewhere they can't find us. Elara stared at him. You said you were going to end this. Lucian reached for his gun. I am. Then why are we running? He looked toward the window. We're not running. He turned back to her. We're hunting. And for the first time, Elara understood something. She hadn't simply fallen in love with a dangerous man. She had stepped into a war that had begun long before she was born. And somewhere in that war was the truth about her missing brother, Lucian's family, and the mysterious organization that had created the most feared mafia boss in the city. But this time, Lucian wouldn't fight a lot, because the woman who had once saved his life from an assassin was now standing beside him, and she was ready to save him from something far more dangerous, his past. For years, he had believed power meant having no weaknesses. He had believed love was a liability. He had believed trust was a weapon someone else could use against him. Then a woman named Elara Bennett had stepped in front of a bullet meant for him. She had saved his life without knowing who he really was. And now she was standing beside him, knowing everything. Not because she wasn't afraid, but because she had chosen him anyway. Across the city, Evelyn Vare watched their image on a monitor. She smiled. Let them come. Beside her, Noah stared at the screen. You don't understand. Evelyn turned. Understand what? Noah looked at his sister and Lucian. Elara isn't Lucian's weakness. Evelyn frowned. Noah smiled faintly. She's the reason he can't be controlled anymore. Evelyn's expression hardened. Then the lights in the room suddenly went out. A single gunshot echoed through the darkness. And somewhere across the city, Lucian's phone rang. He answered. A distorted voice whispered, Your secretary saved your life once. A pause. Let's see if he can save hers. The call ended. Lucian looked at Elara. His expression became completely calm. "Stay behind me." Elara shook her head. "Not this time." She stepped beside him. "I'm staying with you." Lucian looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, and together they walked toward the darkness. Because the woman who had once saved a stranger from an assassin now knew exactly who he was. He was a mafia boss, the man everyone feared, the man who had spent his entire life running from his past. And she was the one person who had given him a reason to stop running. Now their enemies weren't hunting a mafia boss and his secretary. They were hunting two people who had become each other's greatest strength.